why we need to legalize marijuana is for the use of helping people to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. When Mark rescued my daughter and I and took us to the safety of Alaska, it was the first time that I'd ever experienced such kindness, such goodness, safety in my whole life's experience. I didn't know that good people even existed in this world. I'd long since had any hope that good people even could exist in this world. And then Mark came along. And it would be far easier for me to believe that he was an alien or a god or anything. Because that was easier to know that good people existed. But he told me that there's more good people in this world than bad. And boy, have I ever found that out. There are so many good people in this world. It's innate human nature for being good. And it is the people that are in control of our world, that are manipulating our minds and manipulating our lives into so much violence, that are the minority. And we just need to quit following them and reclaim our lives and our minds. Mark taught me that the best way for me to be able to control my own mind and to reclaim my mind was to write out memory. By writing out memory, what that does, a very active moving a pen, opens the neuron pathways of the brain. And by opening those neuron pathways, that information is transferred over to the logic part of the brain that's moving the pen. Plus, it's right out front there on paper now, where my conscious mind would see it and be able to understand what had happened to me. When I first gained awareness, it was through being safe. Safety is a crucial factor in anyone healing from a dissociative identity disorder. They've got to be out of that horrible environment. Someone in the military is not likely to heal while they're still on the battle forefront. Someone who's been horribly abused in a church isn't likely to remember by going into that, while they're still going to that church. You have to just kind of put that aside until you can consciously start making your free thought choices again. Because what happens is the brain is still trying to compartmentalize that so the rest of the mind can function normally. It doesn't allow for a person to know what has happened to them if they're still in their abuse space in any way. Even in, like, my daughter Kelly's case, my daughter was subjected to technological form of mind control. She was exposed to harmonics, because harmonics vibrate the neuron pathways in the brain and section it off that way. It works kind of like how harmonics in music would work. You know, when you hear a song, you'll remember where you were when you first heard that song, maybe a favorite song. You're like, oh, I know we fell in love to that song. I know where we were when that song was playing. That's just a minor example of how harmonics affect the neuron pathways. Churches have long since known that the bells and, you know, I mean, the harmonics that are used can affect the neuron pathways of the brain. And my daughter needs to have healing on the same level that her programming went in. I look forward to the day that she can heal fully. And at this point in time, it became very clear that as she turned age 30 herself, that there were parts of her brain that were beginning to open, and her past was intruding on her present. And even though she lives the love that she is true to soul, she was not able to maintain that with her past intruding on her present all the time. And as that came in, it became clear to me that she needed to be away from me in order to heal. Not because I was an abuser, but we were abused together. And no matter how much love we have for each other, love cannot heal the damage that was done to her brain with what was done to her. She needed to allow her brain to heal and be away from me just long enough for that to take place. Sometimes, even being in a family situation, you say, well, I understand that my father was abusive to me because he was abused, and understanding is so much bigger than forgiveness. But still, even understanding that, it doesn't mean you should stay in that abuse space, because you've got to get away from it completely and be in a safe, loving space so that all levels of the brain can heal, because our brain acts separately from us in that regard. It has its own physical actions that have to heal, as well as our psychological desires, and as well as our love or any other intent that we would have. Being in a safe place with Mark was the first step towards my healing. The second step would be to trust him. Why would I trust Mark? I didn't know to trust anybody. I couldn't think to trust anybody. Matter of fact, until I gained conscious awareness, I wasn't able to form any thought of my own at all. And in order to do that, Mark put a watch on my wrist first thing, because the concept of time equates to a concept of awareness. And once I became aware and wasn't dissociating, that awareness is when I became responsible for my life and when I had to learn to think. Well, being safe and having conscious awareness. Once I had conscious awareness and became responsible, people were telling me, well, you have to love yourself. And after all I had been through, and the criminal operations I was forced to participate in, knowing what my daughter had been through, it was very difficult to even think about loving myself according to a daily affirmation, something from the outside in. I think ego is people's perception of self based on other people's input, something we're conditioned to. And I didn't have any of that because I had been absolutely robotic mind controlled, and by the time I wrote out my memory and reclaimed control over my own mind, I didn't have any perception of self from outside input, and I couldn't think of a reason that I should, quote, love myself. But I found that who I am, the very essence of my being, the energy of myself, that spirit aspect of me, is love. That's a love energy. And I choose to live the love I am. And by living the love I am, that's a whole lot easier than trying to love myself or anything else. It is the most powerful force in the universe, and it's something that will empower each and every one of us to be able to reclaim our lives in every way. I'm so fortunate to have been able to write out my memory, the powerful tool that Mark taught me, and to be able to learn to think for myself. Because once I wrote out my memory, once I deprogrammed what I was supposed to forget, once I had written all that out, my mind was like a blank slate, and I had to learn to think. And I had to push. I had to think past perceptions. I had to think past what I had been subjected to. I had to learn to think further and consider all angles. And each and every one of us needs to do that every day. When we look at the news and we see the horror on it, let's look beyond that. What else are the people in that country doing? Expand your thinking. Learn to think further. Once I healed, my daughter still needed help, and that's what compelled Mark and I to start speaking up to begin with. And when national security was invoked on our case, on our testimony for the U.S. Permanent Congressional Select Committee on Intelligence Oversight, upon advice of the federal attorney, we released that information in Transformation of America and distributed it, got that information out everywhere. Because this was before computers, and we had our book, we were getting that information out there as best we could. And we began speaking for my daughter's sake, so that people would be able to help her and understand her need. It was love that compelled us to speak out. Well, we spoke out for 25 years now, and we detailed how we survived to reach this point in speaking out in our book, Access Denied for Reasons of National Security. Access Denied has all the healing methods in it that Mark taught me in full detail. As U.S. government whistleblowers, that information has been able to be made public through my life's experience, because that's walking that fine legal line in order to get the information out there. And I encourage you, please look into Access Denied for Reasons of National Security and see how people can heal from any level of dissociation. Since its release, people all over the world have been healing with that information from varying levels of trauma, abuse, torture, post-traumatic stress disorder, and control. It's helping people in the military special forces, even in intelligence community, people who have been sexually abused as children, people who have been traumatized and controlled in a church setting, and good people who just are tired of being fed misinformation through the controlled medias and want to learn to expand their thinking. We hear from people every day who are benefiting tremendously from that information. And once we all have truth and begin to reclaim our lives, through that truth, we're able to express our strength of spirit. And no matter what kind of controls are being put on us, whether it's through terror, whether it's through harmonics, or whatever other technologies they have now, one thing is for certain: they cannot control the human spirit. And that is where we win and where they lose. Mark gathered his strength of spirit, and Roseanne has been certainly living hers for years and years and years. And I encourage each and every one of you to do the same, because truth indeed makes us free. And truth is the first step towards a necessary positive change that we need to see in this world. Please take this truth and spread the word. Thank you so much for coming out here.
I refuse to interrupt the applause because they deserve every moment of it. Just to let everybody go out and have a bathroom break, a cigarette break, a medical marijuana break. You want to do some yoga, some vaping, rock a G-pen, whatever you gotta do it. Just make sure you hold on to your tickets. Try to be cordial and to come back to the seat that you were originally in, otherwise it'll be chaos. Give it about 10 minutes. Again, hold on to your tickets. We'll need to see them on your way back in. We'll do the Q&A,
I'll probably stay here.
and then we'll do the meet and greet where you can interact with the guests, get some signatures, some photos, and stuff like that. Thank you, everybody.
Canadian Awareness, CanadianAwareness.org.
Canadian Awareness. What kind of organization?
We just cover all sorts of different events.
So all of you guys, camera guys, work for the Canadian.
Oh no, just me and my friend Terry.
Oh, so
And this is
Dan.
Do you ever record?
Who are you filming for? Because I want to watch this. I couldn't hear it very well.
I'm just gonna post mine on YouTube, and then I'm gonna send it to Patrick.
Who's Patrick?
The guy that runs Conspiracy Culture. It's like the host.
What's his name? Patrick what?
Patrick White.
And yours is CanadianAwareness.org.
It is.
Okay, what happens
Yeah,
now?
that's a good sign.
Questions?
Just taking a break, and then there's question and answer.
Oh, okay. Can you save my seat for me?
Should be fun.
You won't let anybody sit. I'm cold now.
I'll put my stuff on there so no one goes there either.
Thank you.
No problem.